Yep. Okay, friends and neighbors. Here we are again with this variable speed drive sheave, whatever you want to call it. After last week's debacle with Bobcat's kit, that nothing worked out of it. Got on the interwebs, 1,540 pieces and 407 O-rings. Okay? Just for starters. The wiper seal is the correct one. It is 1 inch ID 1.4999 OD. I ordered 2 of them. Okay, 2 wiper seals, metric O-rings, 1,540 pieces, 32 sizes, SAE O-rings, what I said it was, 407 pieces. Didn't even come to half of what that Bobcat rebuild kit cost. Okay, I'm gonna find I believe it's R20 is the correct O-ring for the inside. Let me find the right O-rings and I'll bring you back. All right, I had to get you back facing the right direction. I'll try to get you kinked up here to where you're kind of looking at the world in the right. Get my damn belly out of the way. There we go. Okay. R20, this is the closest one that I can find. The only difference is it's just a little bit, whoops, a little bit thinner. It's not quite as big around. And this one is the one that goes inside of here. So let's try to get that mission accomplished. Once again, I do not have one of those fancy insider tools, but we're in there, no issues whatsoever. And we got a fairly good seal there. So let's move on to our wiper seal, which is a CR9859. I'm going to, well, there's a little bit of hydraulic fluid. These seals are readily available on the internet. I was so glad when I got on the search engines and typed this seal number in. There's just a list of companies that still have these. So you're like, I don't know, $11 and maybe some change. each plus shipping, so it wasn't bad at all. And where's my hammer? There. Fits much better. Now, I put a little hydraulic oil on that. I'd really like to have a little more, but maybe that's enough. Get you back over here so you're not at the top of the screen. I got a little bit of sawdust or something on there, and I want nothing in there because it doesn't take much. There we go. Now, I didn't replace this O-ring. I don't have one that big, and I didn't want to order another kit. So, and it wasn't leaking on the outside. So there's that. I'm gonna tighten this back down off camera because I gotta find a water pump pliers or something and put on there. I'm not gonna beat hell out of it like somebody else had already done. I probably should have put it in the drill press and made 2 new dimples, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to tighten this back down, and then I'll bring you guys back. Okay, once again, let's get you back up in here. Now, that's what we tightened her down with. I put it in the vise, put them on. I'm sure that's going to be plenty tight because there's an O-ring there, what have you. Now, our problem is with this is, and this was the issue to begin with. From what I could understand. There were 3 of these roll pins in here. One of them had fallen inside, and then when you put the hydraulic pressure to this to close the sheaves up to speed up, the roll pin that fell inside was beating hell out of the piston, and then it got the little shards of brass inside there and ate up the O-rings. So, and I believe this is the one that fell inside because it's all shined up and it's beat up. So instead of rectifying the issue, somebody, in taking that out or replacing it, they should have done was took it out. They didn't. They cut another roll pin, a longer one, and stuck it in there. And left that in there to beat hell out of everything. So, our issue is these holes are somewhat wallered out in this piece. Not so much in this one. So all those roll pins have to do is keep this from spinning. lets it wobble just a little more than what I like, and go in and out. Maybe I don't have, see, once you get them in there a little bit, get them all in there fairly even. I'd really like to tighten those holes up. I don't know if you can see in there. Maybe you can a little. Let me try to get a light to shine in there, give you an idea of what's going on. Plug in my drop light. So you guys can smell what I'm stepping in, maybe. Well, I'm trying, folks. Okay, there you go. Freeze frame it if you want. That's the best shot I can get you. So, the nut you see back inside there, these act as a stopper for this piston. This piston moves in and out. These act as a stopper. What I have a half a notion to do, get that down in there tight, take the wire welder, put a tack on those, and then cut these off and then grind them flush. And keep a tack weld on it. And then this piece, don't worry about that. It's just a battery for the weed eater. This piece here, if those O-rings, those two different sizes. Whoops. It'd help if I turned it the right way. I'm down on the roll pins. There is a bit of a groove from one roll pin. I don't know if you can see it. Wore in right there. But this by right should hold them roll pins in there so they don't come out. So I don't understand how one fell through unless it got worn short. Anyway, it surprised me that I could pull that out with my fingers. But if you go back into the original video, you can see where the roll pins they had in there. They just fell out. And one had fallen inside. This one, it's snug. So you can see that, and it's a little oblong. That one's a little oblong. I would like to take a piece of copper tubing. If I have one, I think that's 11/32 hole. I put the micrometer on there. If I can find a piece of copper tubing that'll fit in there tight, I think I'll take the wire welder and weld, get some of that oblong out of there, so maybe the roll pins will fit a little bit tighter. Let me see what I can find. Well, we're getting closer, folks. I didn't try to weld those holes up. What I did is I drilled them out. I slid this down inside there and drilled it out 3/8 of an inch. And these roll pins I got, as thick as they are and heavy as they are, you can see it's about touching. I really had to squeeze them down with the vice grips to even get them started. But I got all 3 of them in there. And let me get my stool up here. We achieved our goal. That thing is in there rock solid now. It's not flopping and bopping up and down. So that's on the plus side. I need to tap this one in just a little bit more, and before we carry on. And then this, and I need to get new set screws. One's missing here. This one's totally missing. That one's loose. I'm going to clean those up, and I believe I'm going to put some Loctite on there, and to keep those in place. And then that slides down on those keys that are loose. So I can't even get this to slide on there because them keys are hanging out. It'll go down on there. Oh, I'll bet I may be hitting that one. Yeah, there's what I'm hitting. Hang on just a minute. Okay, now we got her hammered in. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Just like that. So I'm not going to finish the assembly in this video because I have to go to town, and boy, that's fast now. That'll make that belt rag clear at the top. But so I'm going to wrap this video up. It's gotten long enough, but I will bring it back for the final assembly, which is going to consist of this goes over the top. This nut screws on, holds this on. This, and that's the swivel that it goes up there for the hydraulic fluid. in and out. I just want to lay you over now, you know, fighting and bucking. Okay, and this goes inside there, one way or the other. It's, there we go, goes in that. This, one of Dad's friends says he can cut a keyway on the outside of that for me, and then that goes in, and then this, friends and neighbors, is going to go on that. Okay, so now you got the gist of her. But like I said, I got to get some set screws and do a bunch of cleaning up, because I want to Loctite set screws in there, because this thing, it wobbled. It sat there and wobbled like that because everything was so loose and set screws were missing and what have you. And I'm surprised it didn't bust the crank. Well, that is a big crankshaft, but you know, it's got to be hard on the seals and everything, wobbling like that. But now we got her. She is tighter than old Aunt Effie's purse strings, I guarantee. But I want to clean that up, put new set screws in with Loctite, and it's you're probably gonna have to wait till next weekend and we'll finish that up in a quick fast. So Dad had some, I went up to Dad's the other day. We had some things to iron out, and nothing, you know. Dad wanted some help and wanted to discuss a few things. So while I was up there, he had some 3-inch square tubing, and he cut me off 6 foot because I wasn't sure how much I needed to span those two places right there. And I'm probably, unless I think I'm gonna have to take this muffler off to get the engine in there. It depends if I got some help or not. If I don't have any help, I'll have to take this muffler off to get that in there and set down. And I took this leaf screen, whatever you want to call it, I took it off. So let me get my 5-gallon seat over here. I had to take that screen off, take 3 10mm bolts off of here in order to put this billet extension on there, because if you remember correctly, and then there's there's a 1-inch shaft goes on this, and that drives the hydraulic pump right there. But I tell you what, to get those 3 10mm bolts out of there, I got a 16-inch half-inch drive breaker bar with, I think it was a 16mm socket on the crank bolt, 3/8-inch drive breaker bar with a 10-inch piece of black pipe for an extension, so it was probably about 18 inches long, and it was all I could do to get those 3 10mm bolts to break loose. And right there they are, these. Now see, there's no Loctite, there's no dope on there. There's no locking anything on there. If I tried to tighten a damn bolt that small into something that tight, it would have snapped off way before I got to those foot-pounds. I mean, like a quarter of those foot. I guarantee you. I'd have snapped it off, or the threads would be gone. It was ridiculous. But on the plus side, a guy wouldn't have had to worry about them vibrating loose. Okay, so those are the three I had to take out. And then there was a big, like a big flat washer I took off. And then this billet extension right there, it came with 3 Allen head bolts in there, and I tightened them down. And it fits in there nice and everything. So, yeah, we're just about to the point, and it's not going to happen today. I've been down in the back and stuff, and so I'm not going to do any lifting. Maybe next weekend Matthew will be home, and we can set this down in there, find out where our holes are going to be for mounting this to that right there, and then there's another one further back right there. And I did have to take the throttle key and choke thing off and swing it around to the side, because there's no way it originally mounts right here facing toward me, and there's no way that especially the throttle lever, that throttle lever right there, it's going to be, the whole thing is going to be hitting. So I'm going to I want to mount this, cut the wires, take the choke cable and throttle cable off, and put the key up front here someplace, and then the choke and throttle will go through that kick plate right there. Let me see if I can put this. The hell I got there? Maybe now. Yeah. Okay. See, here's the original choke cable down here. So I'll probably put the new one there, and I may have to run a longer throttle cable back there, no big deal. It's all just, you know, Mickey Mouse stuff. But like I said, I'm not making any permanent changes, because hopefully this winter, if it's not blazing cold, I want to rebuild that and put it back in, depending on how it runs. And but mainly bearings and rings. It's got standard pistons and everything in it yet. So I want to rebuild that, at least new bearings. I want to take it apart, check the crank or connecting rod bearings, which I haven't done yet, and I'm not even worried about it right now. But I'd originally like to put that back in it if I can get it running good, and then take this back out and bench it for another project or something. I don't know, we'll have to see. Anyway, this is way too long, 10 minutes and 32 just in this section. So stop in next time, friends and neighbors, and I promise you we'll get this completely back together. We can't mount it until the engine's in and all fastened down, because it goes through that hole, and it's tight, and then you have to work from the back and through that hole, and it's not an easy deal. Our buddy Cornbread, he was in here helping me earlier when I was drilling those out, and I drilled them out with the 1/2-inch drill by hand. I didn't put it in the drill press because I have too much in play, or whatever you want to call it, in my drill press. The bit wobbles just a little too much, and I didn't want to you know, make those holes bigger than 3/8. So I'll tell you what I did. I set it together like that, lined up the holes as much as they would because they're wallered out, and I put it in the press right there and held that top down fairly tight around here, and then just took the drill and the 3/8 bit and went through, put one roll pin in, loosened it off the press, turned it, pressed it again, drilled the next one, put a roll pin in it, and so forth. Got all three of them in. So with that, friends and neighbors, I'm going to jump off the trail here. You guys do something kind for yourself, a friend, a stranger, or a loved one, regardless of what it is. Just do something kind for somebody and yourself. Don't forget to give yourself a pat on the back sometimes too, right? So with that, happy trails.